Most of us think of sleep as just hitting the off switch, right? But what if it's actually one of the most important, active things your brain does all day? We're not talking about lost time here. We're going to dive into the critical, nonstop work your brain is doing while you think you're just resting.
Okay, picture this. We've all been there. It's late, you've got a huge exam in the morning, and you have to make a choice. Do you chug another coffee and try to cram every last fact into your head? Or do you just call it a night? What's the smarter move?
You might not believe it, but the absolute best thing you can do for that test and for your brain is to shut the book and get some sleep. And the reason why? Well, that's exactly what we're about to unpack. To really get why sleep is so important, we have to start with what happens when you don't get enough. And the consequences are so much bigger than just feeling a little groggy. We're talking about a serious hit to your brain's performance. I mean, think about it like this. Being sleep deprived isn't just about yawning a lot. It actually messes with your judgment and performance in a way that's shockingly similar to being drunk. It slows you down, your reaction time tanks, and making good decisions becomes, well, a lot harder. So you've basically got two versions of you. On one hand, there's the well-rested you, sharp, emotionally balanced, making smart calls. But then there's the sleep-deprived you, where your concentration is totally shot, you're irritable, and your judgment is questionable. You are literally operating with a different brain. Okay, let's zoom in on our emotions for a second. Why is it that when we're tired, we can get so irrational and fly off the handle? The answer is in two key parts of the brain that get thrown completely out of whack. First up, meet your amygdala. The easiest way to think about this is as your brain's emotional gas pedal. It's the part that generates those really strong gut reactions, especially things like fear and anger. It's all about raw, immediate emotion. Now, this is where it gets really wild. Brain imaging studies show us what's going on. In a rested brain, the amygdala reacts, appropriately. But in a sleep-deprived brain, it's about 60% more reactive. 60%! That's a massive jump. It totally explains why a tiny little frustration can feel like the end of the world when you're exhausted. So if the amygdala is the gas pedal, what's the brake? Well, that's the job of the prefrontal cortex. It's like the CEO of your brain, sitting right up front, making the logical, rational decisions and keeping those emotional outbursts in check. And here is the absolute key. Sleep is the communication line between that rational CEO and your emotional gas pedal. When you don't sleep, that line gets cut. The amygdala just runs wild, and the prefrontal cortex can't get a word in. You become all accelerator and no brake. But sleep isn't just about emotional control. While you're sleeping, your brain is wide awake and working hard on two essential jobs. It's filing away memories and, believe it or not, it's cleaning house. One of its biggest tasks is something called memory consolidation. This is this amazing process where your brain takes all the new stuff you learned today, which is just kind of sitting there on a fragile, temporary file, and moves it into the strong, permanent hard drive of your long-term memory. So how does this actually work? Well, as new info comes in, it goes to a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as a temporary inbox. Then, during sleep, the hippocampus replays those memories, strengthening the connections, and then ships that now stronger information off to the cortex for safe, long-term keeping. If you don't sleep, that whole process just doesn't happen. And get this, it's even more specialized. Different stages of sleep handle different kinds of memories. That really deep, slow wave sleep, that's essential for locking in facts, like the stuff you need for that big test. But REM sleep, the dream stage, that's for things like muscle memory, practicing the piano. You need both to be at your peak. And while all that memory filing is going on, your brain is also, well, it's taking out the trash. A huge portion of your body's blood flow is sent to your brain while you sleep, and it acts like a power washer, clearing out all the metabolic waste that builds up during the day. It's a deep clean that can only happen when you're asleep. So after hearing all that, the big question is, how do we actually get the kind of high-quality sleep our brain desperately needs? It all comes down to something called sleep hygiene, basically creating the perfect habits and environment for great rest. So here's your playbook. Look, if you only do one thing from this list, make it this one: consistency. Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time, even on weekends. It helps set your body's internal clock. Of course, your environment is huge too. Cool, dark, and quiet is the goal. And a big one for all of us, put the phone away an hour before bed. That blue light seriously messes with your brain's ability to power down. These aren't just nice ideas, they're powerful tools.
So, once you start thinking about sleep not as wasted time, but as this period of intense, vital brain activity, everything changes. It's not about losing hours, it's about upgrading your mind for the next day.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Sleep is like a nightly therapy session for your brain. It takes the sharp emotional edges off of our tough experiences. It's not just time passing, it's the time you spend sleeping that lets you heal and hit the reset button.
So, here's the bottom line. Every single night, you have an opportunity to wake up with a brain that is calmer, sharper, and just plain better than it was the day before. The real question is, are you going to let it happen?